vast selection of musical equipment at Sweetwater. From stage... It was a Tuesday, a day like any other in my
Today, y'all, we are reacting to 2 true kindergarten horror stories animated. Like, subscribe to my channel, click the bell so you'll be notified when I make a new video or drop a new video. And let's begin.
Garden classroom, filled with the sounds of laughter and the vibrant chaos of young children at play. That morning, as I prepared for another day of teaching and nurturing these young minds, I could never have imagined the horror that was about to unfold. Mr. Thompson, a parent I knew all too well for his confrontations with school staff over his son's recent expulsion, stormed into my classroom shortly after the morning bell. The look in his eyes was wild, frantic, betraying a mind pushed to its limits. In his hands, he wielded what appeared to be a mishmash of handmade weapons, objects twisted into forms meant to intimidate and harm. "Where is he? Where's the principal?" Mr. Thompson demanded, his voice a frightening growl that echoed off the classroom walls. I stood frozen, my heart racing, as the children huddled behind me, sensing the danger.
"Mr. Thompson, please, let's talk about this."
I pleaded, attempting to keep my voice steady.
The children...
They need to see it. They all need to see what happens when you push someone too far. He interrupted, slamming a spiked bat against a desk, splintering the wood. His actions were a clear display of his intent to terrorize, to punish us for perceived wrongs I couldn't begin to understand. As chaos erupted in the classroom, with children screaming and crying, Mr. Thompson began his tirade of destruction. He smashed windows, overturned tables, and threw books across the room, all while ranting about the injustice of his son's expulsion and how we were all to blame for ruining his family. I knew I had to act.
"Kids, to the closet,"
I whispered, guiding them to a small storage space at the back of the room. It was a tight fit, but it could hide them from view. As I ushered the last child in, Mr. Thompson noticed. Trying to hide, like the cowards you are," he barked, moving towards us with purpose. In that moment, I realized that I couldn't just protect the children. I needed to confront this threat head on.
"Mr. Thompson, please, think about your son. This isn't what he needs,"
I said, stepping forward, putting myself between him and the closet. The mention of his son seemed to hit a nerve. He paused, his expression tormented, torn between rage and a flicker of reason. But the moment passed quickly, and his anger surged anew. "You don't get to talk about what he needs. You've done enough. Where was your misplaced sense of justice when your principal made an example out of my boy in front of everybody? I pay thousands of dollars to you people in this fancy private kindergarten of a sham that you're running. Okay, you don't get to tell me shit or do anything to my son. Do you even know who I am? What I do? You messed with the wrong person, and I will make sure you get the terror which you inflicted on my son." He screamed, raising the bat once more. It was a standoff, with Mr. Thompson's unpredictable rage against my desperate resolve to protect my students at all costs. The air was thick with tension, each of us waiting for the other to make a move. The standoff with Mr. Thompson seemed to stretch into eternity, his breaths heavy with rage, mine quickened by fear. The children, silent in their hiding spots, seemed to understand the gravity of the moment, their usual energetic chatter reduced to stifled whimpers. Then, in a move I still replay in my nightmares, Mr. Thompson lunged forward, the spiked bat raised high, his intent to harm clear in his crazed eyes. Instinctively, I dove to the side, narrowly avoiding the swing that crashed into the wall behind where I had stood moments before. Pieces of plaster and wood chips rained down, a physical reminder of how close I had come to being struck. "You can't protect them forever!" Mr. Thompson bellowed, pulling the bat from the wall with a terrifying determination. It was then, amidst the adrenaline-fueled terror, that an idea sparked within me.
Mr. Thompson, look!
I exclaimed, pointing towards the classroom door, my voice laced with feigned astonishment. For a split second, his attention diverted, his head snapping towards the door, expecting what? Reinforcements? His son? In that moment of distraction, I made my move. Rushing towards him, I aimed for the hand that gripped the bat, using every ounce of strength to wrench it away. Surprised and unbalanced, he stumbled, the weapon clattering to the floor. Seizing the opportunity, I kicked the bat across the room, far out of reach. "You don't understand what you're doing," I gasped, backing away, hoping to put distance between us. But Mr. Thompson, fueled by a mix of humiliation and unchecked fury, was not deterred. He charged, intent on using his sheer physicality to overpower me. The ensuing struggle was a blur of motion and desperation. I dodged and weaved, narrowly escaping his grasps, all while screaming for help at the top of my lungs, hoping someone outside would hear. But he grabbed my hair and pulled me down, pinning me to the floor and sitting on top of me. He landed 2 powerful blows, one to my left ear and one to the chin. I was stunned for a few moments, dazed and confused about what was happening as pain shot through my face. But I couldn't back down. There were no rules to this fight. So just as he leapt up a bit, leaving himself a little room, I took all my strength into a punch, which I landed at his crotch with might. He went down in an instant, squirming in pain. And then, just as suddenly as it had all began, help arrived. The door burst open and several police officers rushed in, their commands loud and authoritative. Mr. Thompson, realizing his situation, hesitated just long enough for them to tackle him, securing him in handcuffs. As he was led away, his eyes met mine, the madness that had consumed him giving way to a dawning realization of his actions. The classroom, once a place of learning and laughter, was now a scene of devastation, a stark reminder of the terror we had all survived. The children emerged from their hiding spots, their eyes wide and tear-streaked, but safe. Safe because of a gamble I had taken, a bluff that had paid off. As I hugged each of them, comforting their shaken spirits, I couldn't help but feel a mix of relief and sorrow. Relief that we had survived, and sorrow for the man who had lost himself to his own despair and anger. In the aftermath, as the community rallied around us, offering support and solace, I found a new resolve. The ordeal had shown me the depths of my own courage, the strength I possessed, not just as a teacher, but as a protector of my students. Mr. Thompson's attack had been meant to tear us apart, to instill fear and chaos. Instead, it had brought us closer, highlighting the resilience of the human spirit, even in the face of unimaginable adversity. Our classroom would rebuild, not just the physical space, but the sense of safety and trust that had been threatened. We would move forward, forever changed, but stronger for having endured together. And as for me, Alexa, the teacher who had faced down terror to protect her students, I learned that courage doesn't always roar. Sometimes it's the quiet voice at the end of the day whispering, "We will survive this." And we did.
I don't want to do this anymore.
What is it you're not telling me?
Remember that guy, Johnny?
Yeah, the white boy from the last reading.
Before starting the story, I would suggest you guys to go subscribe to the channel. It turns out that most of you guys who watch me aren't actually subscribed. So, if you like the content and want to support the channel, go ahead and subscribe and hit the bell. It's free, and you can always change your mind later.